Okay, I wanted to make a quick video on this update because there was quite a few things changed. It's the version 0.17.04. They actually had two updates back to back, so I'm going to go over the .03 version and then just talk about this real quick after. So going down to this, they did a lot of changes and they kind of talk about TLDR, basically voice chat is now in the game, which is cool. More VFX and UI fixes, faster teleportation, chapter 3 balancing, hero balancing, crit chance balancing, economy, and quest and like bug fixes. So voice chat is in the game. That's cool. They also talk about that skins and outfits are coming to the game. I think they'll be like unlockable. I don't think they'll be paid content. Maybe they'll do that in the future, like after, but I think they're just going to be unlockable in the game, which will be cool. Now, general improvements, health bars, visualization for health bars is improved. So the smaller the enemy, basically, the smaller the health bar, and bigger enemies have bigger health bars. Mini bosses now have a actual full-on health bar like Master Nightmares, which I think is kind of cool. You get to actually see, like, have a better visualization of how much you can like chunk a boss, which should be nice. And bleed damage has like a better feedback on the health bar, which is cool. And there's only like the one talent evisceration that applies bleed in the game. And then some hero animations now affect their health bar's height to avoid overlapping. I'm not really sure what animations those are going to be, but that's nice. Big change here that's kind of cool is teleportation was changed from 6 seconds to 4. So now you have a lot more time to get back. Like if you actually teleport back with 6 seconds at the end, if you're playing solo, you probably can make it to the Sandman. And also just for co-op, that's going to be a lot better to be able to travel back and forth to the Sandman to buy some stuff, because co-op, your time doesn't stop. Now, there's been some changes to the UI, which I have the game open right now. I'm not really displaying that, but I've seen some of those changes. It just basically puts all the abilities and talents on one side. And then the big ones. So they say, design note, crit chance tended to provide more powerful than intended due to certain talents or magical object providing significant amounts. They've basically tried to make synergies better so that crit chance is interesting, but not like it still probably will be one of like the main ways you should play the game, but just so it's not like as overpowered as it currently is. So heroes maximum level is now 20. I have never seen that. Maybe if I play an adventure game and go with Hope Diamond and stuff like that, I might be able to see that, but I've never seen that. XP required to get levels 9 and above has been increased. I do kind of understand that. Going from level like 9 to 10 seemed to happen very, very quickly. And then for Scarlet, increase orientation for double strikes. I'm going to talk mainly just about the big ones. So Shadow Strikes now gives a 0.5 crit chance instead of 1, and now has 30 objective count. So you will get like the 2.5% because of it's going to 30 instead of 25. But overall, that's going to be less crit chance. It should be, what, 15 when you finish it now? Because it's 0.5 instead of the 25 that you get from this. So that's like a 10% crit chance nerf on Scarlet, which isn't a huge deal. Now, Murderous Intent, I want to see how this works. It says now grants 2 combo points from full and makes her defense last. The defense didn't really like matter to me too much. It matters in the wolf form because it gives you more armor and lifesteal for longer, but it didn't matter too much as Scarlet. But if this now only fills 2 combo points, that's huge, because Murderous Intent was such a good thing to combine with energy and just have it fill your combo points all the way and then activate your ability. But it looks like it's only going to fill 2 combo points now, which is quite a big nerf to it if it doesn't fill the full amount. Because again, with energy having 5 combo points, that was like such a good synergy there. It still will be good, but just not nearly as good. And then they really nerfed energy, the crit chance per combo point. So this at 5 stacks is going to be 35%, where it used to be 50. So that's another 15% difference. So overall, if you take Shadow Strikes and this, that's a 30% difference on how much crit chance you used to have versus how much you will now have. Also, Explosive Rush got a huge nerf in the special damage. It's now at max going to be 70% damage, down from 175%. I feel like Explosive Rush, though, was really good in most builds. Like, if you were going power focused, it just added more damage. If you had the special focus build, it was kind of insane. So I feel like it is a little bit warranted. I wonder, though, like, that seems like a lot. Like, you were getting a 25% boost each of these. I wonder if they should have gone, like, you know, maybe start this at 30 but still make it a 25% boost each time. I don't know. That's a lot less damage. So Pied Piper, this is actually a pretty big one. Rats can now deal critical hits and use crit chance and crit damage from their owner. I really want to try a crit build now with Horde and Invasive Blast and Forsando, because that sounds really interesting. And one of the big ones here is Spinning Solo. Spinning Solo is one of the best abilities in the game for crit builds, because at max, you can see here, you had 100% crit chance. Any crit chance you added on top of that stacked. So if you had like 30% crit chance, that was added to your damage multiplier. So you had your 100% crit chance and then 30% crit damage. Now it's harder to get that because at max it's going to do 70, which I feel like is very warranted. Also, Spinning Solo, like your power sends out a bunch of notes, so you can still have like a good chance of a lot of them critting. And if you take some crit chance through your run, yeah, you'll still have a lot of crit. Spinning Solo is also a good thing to combine with Eternal Rose, like regardless. So if you have at least 3 Eternal Roses, you're still going to be at 100%. I didn't think they would actually do this, but this is a big one. Chorus now takes into account the attack frequency reduction when combined with low notes. I wonder how that's going to be reflected in Chorus's description. Let me actually go over real quick and just... Whoops, I meant to go here. Let me see if it changes the description of Chorus. It says every 1 second the special zone... Okay, so it still says the same thing in the game, but... So that 1 second with a 50% reduced frequency, so that's now going to be changed. Chorus and low notes is still going to be a phenomenal combo because you get to send out the 5 notes at once, but it is a pretty big difference. Now, one thing I do wonder is if you stack 5 Ace of Spades and get that 15% attack speed buff, I wonder if that will stack with Chorus now as well. And I wonder if you take Virtuoso, if that attack speed buff will also stack with Chorus. I kind of doubt it. I kind of think they're going to make Chorus work independently like it already did. But it is just interesting that now Chorus will get the attack frequency reduction from low notes if it doesn't get the attack like frequency buff from Virtuoso. So I don't know, that might be a thing for them to look at in the future. Sound barrier effect is now correctly triggered with defense with cast of special for Sando. I did that one build where I'm like the unkillable Pied Piper where I got shield on my defense. My defense also healed me. Sando also healed me. That's just going to make that build stronger, which is really cool because now you have 2 ways of applying shield. Now Beowulf changes. Breath of Fire now triggers Crimson Fire effect. I don't know what that is. I'm guessing that's just the fire that comes out at the end of Breath of Fire. That's like the 1, 2, 3 swing and your worm breathes fire. I think the cone sometimes didn't affect enemies in the back areas of the cone. I don't know if this is what this is addressing or if that's what it's talking about. So if you know what that is, then please leave it in the comments. Blazing Runes, here's another crit chance nerf, just like barely though, it's just another 10% nerf. Blazing Runes is crit chance for your attack and special while enemies are ignited. They also adjusted the hitbox of Fiery Slash, wider from before. That's a buff to Fiery Slash, which is kind of crazy because Fiery Slash is like one of Beowulf's best abilities. The biggest one, Blade Storm, extra spins now keep Beowulf intangible. Blade Storm normally just got you killed. It made you spin for longer, and basically to deal damage to enemies you would need to be spinning into them, but you're spinning for longer and you're not intangible, you just die. If you're intangible the entire time this spins, then his special builds are actually going to be very good for camp clears, because that's a lot of intangibility. So I don't know, that's interesting. Also, they improved the ultimate one, the worm AI, where it flies around. It's going to stay closer to you, which thank god sometimes it would just fly out of a camp and trigger more enemies, so it's good. Snow Queen, pretty big nerf here. The ultimate effect now only lasts 10 seconds, down from 20. This ultimate has got nerfed pretty big twice now. That's, you know, half the time. It also used to be on cooldown after you used it, which I thought was kind of insane, because again, you would use it, it would last for, I think it used to last even longer, like 25 seconds. It would last that entire time and be cooling down. I am surprised they didn't buff her Frost Ray though. I really thought that needed a buff. They also fixed Snowball. It just didn't do damage to Tremors or Dream Crystals, and then sometimes it would stay a smaller size. Also, this is huge. I didn't even know this was a thing. Special now correctly takes into account specific damage modifiers like Jack of Diamond cards, so like the special damage buff. I need to try another special build with her, because I've done one where I had multiple Jack of Diamonds, and I'm like, this still just doesn't feel like it's that good. So maybe it'll be better now. Now, Aladdin. I've already quickly gone over these, so I've seen these. Some stuff here I agree with, some stuff I'm really sad about. So the attack damage while you have enchantment was just buffed 10%. I don't think that even needed it, but that's nice. This one I really disagree with, but I understand because crit damage is just so good. Enchanted Djinn's crit chance per enchantment is set to 10 from 20. Now, let me go reread that skill because I believe it... Here. Power can consume up to 5 enchantment points to increase its crit chance by 10% per point. The maximum number of enchantment points is increased by 5. So the fact that power can consume up to 5 enchantment points to increase its crit chance by 10%, basically if you had those 5 enchantment points, it would be a guaranteed crit when it was 20%, because it would go all the way up to 100%. Now you can consume, now your max crit chance with it is going to be 10%. Well, 50% if you're consuming all 5, plus your normal crit chance, which is the 5%. If you don't have any other crit chance, this would feel really, really bad if you used like 2 powers back to back with a lot of enchantment points, and they both didn't get the crit, and now you have no enchantment points, but you just like spent however much time gaining all that enchantment. I don't know, this to me feels really, really, I mean, I haven't played with it yet, but it just feels really, really bad in concept. I don't know, like, you already need to stack the enchantment points and have them built up, and I don't know, it is a build to go for. Enchanted Djinn is just like, oh, that would feel so bad. Like, you could have 5 or 6 powers in a row and like not get a crit on it, and you're like, this isn't even worth using it, which is part of Aladdin's game. It's just like things happening on a chance. Also, the power wish improved by Wondrous Wishes now also deals extra stagger. That's the ultimate Wondrous Wishes that gives you 2 wishes. Now changes to special wish loots. Silver Bullets, it's 3 damage down from 5. Four-leaf Clover is 3% crit chance from 5, and Whetstone taking a huge nerf here, 10% crit damage from 25. I still think Whetstone is one of the better choices. They're really trying to make vitality and armor be a bigger consideration in these special wish loots. 2% crit chance. They're also trying to balance it with the Grimoires because it pretty much always made sense for you, for the most part, to take Whetstones from his wishes and take the crit chance from the Grimoires, because you would stack the crit damage really, really quickly with the Whetstones based off the amount of crit chance that the Grimoires also give. So yeah, that's going to be a pretty big change. It is necessary. If you saw that last video I had with Tim, where he was playing Melusine, the crit chance just gets out of hand. So I understand it. I think Aftershock caught a pretty unnecessary nerf. It's just a 10% nerf. I think it has to do with the Baylor's Eye and defense combo. But they also might have a change to Baylor's Eye in the future. Springwater, I also think kind of caught an unnecessary nerf. I don't know if Springwater was like, it was good healing, but like Melusine is a healer. You know, she's like a healer and a tank kind of. So I don't know if this was completely necessary. It's cut in half from what it was. I don't know, maybe just incentivizes like picking mermaid tears. Also fix water bubble. Apparently you could be hooked by like while you're in water bubble. I'm glad I've never experienced that. Another huge one though, huge buff for Geppetto. Dummies can now deal critical hits and use crit chance from their owner. I wish I got to experience this before all the crit nerfs they just did, because this would be really, really, really fun to play Geppetto, especially with like sharp noses and oiled mechanisms and large family and family meeting like this, and maybe like fireworks as well. This just sounded like it would have been insane. I still want to try it out now. Laser eyes, also they attack in a shorter range. Overclock has less stagger. They've affected stagger a lot, as we'll see later. Now the Sun Wukong clones can also, the monkey clone ultimate can now deal crits, which is I guess a buff. Monkey clones, if they're as weak as they were previously, I don't know how much that's going to be doing. But also his power now, the stagger dealt after the first hit is now proportional to the distance covered before each strike, between 5 and 30 from 30. So it was always 30 stagger. That's a pretty big nerf in how much stagger you're going to be doing to enemies. Yeah, and you'll see like here as well, reduce the stagger dealt by Stone Monkey reflects from 1 or to 1 from 10. So that's also a pretty big nerf. I don't know, there's some enemies that you could stagger pretty quickly with Stone Monkey, so I get it, but they also fixed the bug of Thirst for Immortality when you go into the second chapter and it would look like you hadn't picked a single like rare or above magical object. Now, rebalancing the game. Here they talk about like the economy of the game and how easy it is to get dream shards and how many magical objects you can get from Sandman with the amount of money you can get. And they also talked about Stars of Fate, like your rerolls. They can be really easily, or they can be easily found in the game. And it said it offered a dilemma where people can get the builds that they want a little too easily. This is something that they went back on. I actually didn't experience this, but, well, specifically this part. I'm glad I didn't experience this. I didn't play the other day because of Elden Ring and work. But cost and dream shards are now higher in higher difficulties. They went up 20%. It was 80% more in Nightmare, which I think is kind of bad because it hurts all the other builds that already didn't incentivize money. Like Hope Diamond is such a big incentive. Dreamcatcher and Leprechaun Coin are such big incentives. Like, it just made those so much more of a priority. Apparently there was enough feedback that they walked this back, and I'll go over that later. But another thing that they kept, though, is the XP. It's now only minus 30 in Nightmare, down from 40, which is interesting. I think a lot of people are going to have a much easier time hitting level 5 in the first chapter, which is really big, and hitting level 8 in the second chapter. So this overall is like, makes Nightmare a bit easier, but there's some other things that they've done. They also, enemies extra damage is set to 20 from 25, and enemies extra health is set to 10 from 15. I wonder if they're going to revert these. I'm not sure. But then they talk about stagger. Players' abilities to stagger enemies can increase significantly from one chapter to the next. I do think that was a problem. I think chapter 2, I think, is actually fairly good. Like, your build normally isn't steamrolling chapter 2, maybe by like the very end of it. But I don't normally feel like I'm steamrolling chapter 2, chapter 3, 100%. If you have a good build, you obliterate everything in chapter 3. So they reduce chapter 3 enemies damage scaling according to difficulty. So in Nightmare, there's no change, but elite enemies and bosses stagger resistance now scales with chapters. So 50% on chapter 3. I haven't experienced this yet. I'll probably have a video going up tomorrow on my first time playing through with these new changes. I am wondering how hard it is to stagger the Master Nightmare in chapter 3, the claws, because some characters I feel like already had a really difficult time staggering those bosses with like certain builds. Like you could have a really good build for clearing camps, but it was not good at staggering those bosses. And I think that's one thing that might hurt the game if they push that stagger up a lot. They reduced the chapter 2's Master Nightmare's base HP, which is, I think it makes sense that Master Nightmare seemed to have a lot more health than the other ones. Like some fights would go on for a long time. They also reduced the claws by 100% or 100 base HP. They also made just like all the enrage effects happen like at a higher frequency or be more threatening. The corrupted orb, like that orb that follows you around, it now explodes after a short duration, and it has a little like feedback timer that'll let you know like, hey, it's about to blow up. Right here, feedback warning has been added. The orb does damage over time if you pass through it, and then the explosion is bigger if the boss is enraged. The witches have more health and deal more damage, and they are now bigger. That's kind of funny. But yeah, these witches, you would obliterate them for the most part with a good build. The priest cultist, the healing ones, fixed heal calculation, now properly scaled for each chapter. I don't know if that's going to be more or less. So I'll figure that out. The double slash on the Dire and Alpha Wolf timing is now slightly shorter, so I think that means they're just going to attack faster. The heavy smashes from the Bestial Gargoyles are now harder to avoid, so I wonder if that makes them wider, or if they like attack longer. Here, let me let my cat in real quick. Sorry about that. This change seems like it might be hell. I'll have to play and see. Hey, Koji. Hey, buddy. Poison apples now explode when striking them. The thing is, you would like strike them to get rid of them so they wouldn't explode. And sometimes like you'll have some camps where there's 30 apples on the field and you're like, oh my god, I just gotta like Beowulf spin and hit all these apples. But if all those are exploding now, it makes those apple witches like a lot more of a threat in a weird way. It just makes you have to probably play like a lot more passively in those camps. Pig houses, their health has been reduced, but the wave of enemies have also been capped. So around 6 to 9 depending on the numbers, so it might have been more than that. It might have been like 11 or 12 or something. The straw house, I hope in the full release they change, sorry, hit my mic there. I hope in the full release they actually change the layout of the house or make enemies spawn from like a specific direction, but they did reduce the amount of elite enemies on the second wave. I hope it's by a pretty significant amount. The wood house also has fewer enemies on the second wave, and the stone house has less enemies, so they made it like I think the good thing about this is side quests should go a little bit quicker when it comes to the fighting phase, so you might be able to do more things around the map. The Cyclops also heals 15% of health now in the second chapter after eating someone, and it gets strength. So if it eats someone, just like stay away, because that's going to hurt. Base health of the tree when you're in the third chapter where you're like defending the tree, which I honestly didn't even realize I was defending the tree until Tim and I were playing on like a really hard setting and the tree died. And we're like, oh, what the hell? We didn't know that happened because you normally kill that boss so quickly. And the dude spawns more skeletons. So magical objects. Fix some wrong or misspelling tooltips on magical objects. Okay. Unicorn Horn super effect now gives you 50 damage, so really big upgrade, up from 20. Still don't know if it's going to be super competitive with other things. Dragonhide is now really interesting. The super effect used to give you 20% of armor as damage. Now it gives you 40%. So that's actually makes green armor Dragonhide builds intriguing, and doing like an Aladdin armor build, or Melusine, the one where like the longer you're in Sing stance, it gives you armor. Armor is a lot more appealing, I think. I actually think this change is pretty big. You still need to get 4 Dragonhides and 5 green armors for this to feel really worth it, but it is a lot more of an idea. They also buffed the ability cooldowns by another 20 or by another 5%, which is interesting to me. I don't know if it needed it, but I mean, I'll take it. Tommy Tobacco also gains 2 Stars of Fate from 3, which is, yeah, whatever. Raven Effigy only gives you 1 power charge and 1 special charge. No more defense. I wonder why that was the case. Like, was it the defense that was making it too strong? I don't know. Oni Mask now is 15 damage per cursed object and 15 vitality per legendary, so it's like even instead of 20-10, which makes sense. Golden Coated Chainmail. I will probably unban myself from Golden Coated Chainmail now. Now clamps damage taken within 1 second to 50% rather than 30. 30 allowed you to take 4 hits. 50 is 2. So I think it is very fair to unban myself. It still serves its purpose, as you don't need to focus on vitality as much in your builds, but it's a lot more risky now. So I like how they did that. It would have been interesting for them to make it 49%. Personally, I think that would have been really, really interesting. Holy Grail now heals a fixed amount of health, 10 instead of a percentage. Oh, what? Amount scales with current hero level. Okay, I hope that scales pretty well. It's weird that it's not just 10% of health. I guess this is now better with Golden Coated Chainmail though, because like the lower health you have, if it scales based off hero level, like the more health you have, like the smaller percent it's going to heal. But the less health you have, the bigger percent it's going to heal. So combo these two together and see how that feels. Maybe you get like some armor as well, you know, go with Dragonhide and be invincible. Queen of Hearts now deactivates during cinematics. Okay. This I kind of disagree with. Star Fragment now grants 1 Star of Fate instead of 2. If they do this, I think they should reduce the price to 25 shards. I'm fine with it being 1, but I think 1 for 50 shards is too much to ask for. I think 2 rerolls for 50 shards feels like a pretty good spot, but yeah, I feel like they should make it 25 shards if you're going to have 1. Like, it's okay for it to be in the shop, but yeah, just make it 25. Grimoires, this is pretty big. Luck now gives 6, 9, and 12% crit chance, so if it's a red, it's, you know, minus 4% on it. Chapter on Anatomy, the stars. This is really, really big. A red book now only gives you what a green used to give you. I am having a hard time in my mind justifying taking rerolls, but I still probably will. It's tough. Also, the Dream Shards got nerfed, which is really, really big. I think, again, in my mind, it's tough because, like, Hope Diamond is incentivized in both ways. Like, if you have Hope Diamond, then you want to take the Dream Shards and get 600 from this. But now it's like, hey, I'm getting less Dream Shards. I need to get Hope Diamond. So, I don't know, like, Hope Diamond is always going to be incentivized in this game, no matter what. Like, if you're getting more Dream Shards because of Hope Diamond, or now you're getting less Dream Shards, so you need Hope Diamond more. It's tough. It's tough having Hope Diamond in the game. Altar of Heroes base XP gained from XP rewards set to 750 from 500. This is actually big. It's like kind of worth, even if you have all your feathers, it's kind of worth just doing it, because that's a lot more experience. So, especially in chapter 1. Okay, and then want to go up here to basically them apologizing for the 80% more, the 80% price increase for nightmare difficulty. They said this solution was not adapt and fair to players. That sounds kind of oppressive because there's a modifier that, like a difficulty modifier, that just makes everything cost 100% more. And that's such a brutal modifier. So it's like, yeah, setting that nightmare seems kind of extreme. Now, another thing they did is, so yeah, they removed the economy change on Dream Shards, but they also did this. Hope Diamond now grants 50% Dream Shards from 100%. I still think there should be something in here to affect Hope Diamond and like maybe losing Dream Shards, or like the amount you gain. Like say you're below half health, now you get the bonus Dream Shards. That way it's like it kind of falls into line with if you die, you lose all the Dream Shards, so you kind of need to be in this like low state of health to gain the Dream Shards. I don't know. I still think Hope Diamond is worth taking every single time, even at 50%. I wonder, I don't know of the correct fix for this, but I like that they're looking out for it. And Ravenswatch is also 25% off until July 11th. So I know some people have commented saying they've seen my videos. I don't know if you're going to be watching an update video if you don't have the game, but yeah, great time to get it. It's only 15 bucks right now. All right, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go test some of this stuff in the next coming videos, so look out for those. All right, peace.